but personalities matter so much in the NBA. So I guess my question for you is, how much do personalities matter in baseball?
I think they matter a lot, and it really depends on how much of one kind of personality you have, or more to the point, I probably don't have than anything else. The personality on a baseball team that you can't have, I've heard before, and I've actually heard it expressed by a pitcher who said, "Well, I got mine."
Yeah,
I got mine.
Yep.
You know, talking about the money, the long-term contract. So what? And the gist of that is, it doesn't really matter what we do, because I'm getting paid a lot of money. So it'd be nice if we win. All those kind of implications, and that's death on a team for the obvious reason that if you're not playing that hard to win, you play so much better when you're playing to win than you do when you're playing for yourself. I mean, you just, over the course of 162 games, you just do. But it's also very difficult for that not to become a malignancy in a clubhouse, and everybody's out for their own self-interest. Obviously, you have to be. There's nobody so altruistic that they would play the game for $10 when everybody else is making $10 million. And say, I'll play for $10 if we win the World Series, then pay me a lot. Nobody's gonna do that. But there is a difference in personalities about guys that are really intent on winning, and guys that clearly are intent on their own statistics, and it does make a difference. You can win with a guy or two. You can't win with a lot, and you can't win if the one guy or two starts infecting.
Right.
If the guys aren't strong enough to not be infected, by that. It's a little bit like the old Casey Stengel line about the most important thing in managing is to you have 10 guys that like you and 10 guys that hate you, and your job as a manager to keep the 5 that are undecided away from the from the guys that hate you, that kind of deal. And I've also been on teams of winning players, and I've seen this more recently, teams that have winning players and have a chance to win, and if someone's not playing the game correctly, or there should be something else going on, then some of the leaders, just being kind of eye rollers to the media, rather than directly dealing with that. Okay, you're a leader. Go get that straightened out with that guy. Go let him know that's not the way to do it. Don't, kind of to the media, you roll your eyes and say, I know that's the wrong way, and I don't do it that way. But look at him. I mean, what are we going to do with this guy? That. So there's a lot of that kind of different personalities, and you had the Oakland A's in the early 70s win 3 world championships in a row, and they had a bunch of guys that didn't like each other.
Right.
There were a bunch of lousy personalities on that team, and personalities that really didn't fit. I mean, Bill North and Reggie Jackson, got in a fight, and neither of those guys were great personalities from that standpoint. But they had a lot of talent, and they had a lot of solid guys: Joe Rudy and Sal Bando and Gene Tennis and Catfish and Raleigh Finger. Those guys were solid guys, and they had so much talent. I think they kind of laughed about because as bad as the personalities were, and as Reggie Jackson, was. They recognize that, in this particular instance, Reggie wants to hit his 40 home runs, and that's really going to help. So, yeah. It was that kind of deal, and they just kind of transcended all that. But it doesn't happen very often.
Right. I have some thoughts on that. I haven't covered a bunch of good and bad Twins teams. Do want to thank WhizKids.tech, WHIZKIDS.tech. Local Minneapolis company, has built a great business. Michael Thannert and his crew can help you out. Allow them to be your chief technology ally.
Hello, Minnesota sports fans. This is Michael Thannert, founder and CEO of WhizKids. WhizKids is a Minneapolis-based managed IT, hosted VoIP, and cloud services provider. Businesses today require fast response times, skilled support staff, clear communication, and technology recommendations that align with their business goals. At WizKids, we do this each and every day with our clients. When you call into our help desk for support or work with one of our higher-level engineers on a complex issue, you'll find our staff personable and ready to roll up their sleeves to help you solve your technology problems. Reach out to WizKids today to find out how we can help your business meet your technology goals. Visit us online at wizkids.tech. That's wizkids.tech. WizKids, make it happen.
I want to say one more thing about that personality thing, though, and this is where I think it plays the most. It's not that you can't win without some negative personalities, clearly, but for the most part, baseball, it's such a long season, and there's so many peaks and valleys. It's if you have another negative distraction in people's minds, you just don't play as well. It's such a game of comfort for so many players. And like that A's team obviously had personalities where discomfort didn't bother, or they weren't discomforted by that, right? I mean, it's like, yeah, fine, it's Reggie, it's Bill North, and hey, and this is kind of cool, let them duke it out, and then we'll get, I mean, that was their personality. It was like, who cares? Let's go win. I mean, everybody hates each other, but not between the lines, or whatever it was. But for most players, and I think especially now, everybody being on the same page in terms of winning feels better in the clubhouse. And if it feels better, you tend to go out and play better. If you come to work and you have to spend one iota of time wishing somebody wasn't like that, or dealing with knowing a couple of teammates were really, really kind of at each other, it brings a lack of comfort that I think for a lot of players it's just hard to grind through over 162 games in 180 days. It's hard to grind through that. Not that you can't, not that teams haven't, but you would rather that's one thing you didn't have to deal with.
Right. I know, I started covering baseball as a beat writer in 1993. Was lucky to cover Herbeck and Puckett, and I really noticed that even in those tough years, they were bad teams. They were losing teams. People still ran out every ground ball, and there was still a certain energy in the clubhouse. And hey, let's go kick that team's butt today, whatever the standings say. And then Herbie retired. And Puckett woke up blind in 1996, and he still had Paul Molitor, and he still had Terry Steinbach. He still had great players around, but you really didn't have that figure who was going to just rally everyone and make sure that the guy who didn't run out the ground ball last night is going to run out the ground ball tonight. Paul was a great player, but he was new to the franchise, and he wasn't a loud person. He just wasn't.
Right. And still isn't.
And it still isn't. Although, he has leadership characteristics, and he always has a leadership position. Back then it's just a little different vibe. And Chuck Knobloch was one of their best players, and Chuck was, as we came to know, was a fairly selfish player. And that, so it was kind of not a great clubhouse for a while there. And I don't think it was a good clubhouse again until Torrey became a good player. Right. And his personality became important, and that happened in 2001. And they had a decade of success. Right.
And I do believe that it is important to have a couple of foundational players that are the orbs around which everybody else revolves, and I do think that's important. And Torrey, Puck was that. Torrey certainly was that, and that has been missing. For a while, and with the Twins club, but I think it's as much, it's so much easier to talk about those kinds of things when, for example, you don't have lockdown pitching.
Right.
Right. I mean, you say, well, they could be how many games better? I mean, if you can't pitch, ultimately, how many games better are you going to be with these foundational players, with two of them? And that's what you saw, I think, with Puck and Herbeck after 91. I mean, that wasn't enough. I mean, there were other issues on that club, and so we're really talking about developing culture of that and personalities, and hopefully and then finding the pieces that are going to give you enough talent to win, and then you can worry about the chemistry again.
Right.
Best chemistry I know is stuff that actually cures the illness, and then and then after that we'll hope that whatever cures the illness doesn't upset your stomach.
That's a good way to put it. Let's get to Justin Morneau here shortly. I do want to thank Tony Hoagland, your State Farm agent in Champlin, Hoaglund. Tony's all over the network. He co-hosts the Fan podcast that you can find on our network. He sponsors a bunch of shows. He's a friend of ours. He handles my insurance. He handles Michael Russo's insurance. And he came out to Delano's the other night for the Russo-Suhan show. It was good to see him. So Google Tony Hoagland, Hoaglund, for all of your insurance needs.
Hey, Minnesota sports fans. This is your local State Farm agent, Tony Hoagland. I need you all to ask yourselves this question. If you're in an at-fault car accident and you are sued for $700,000, how much of that $700,000 will my current insurance company pay? If you are unsure or can't answer all $700,000, you need to give us a call. State Farm has been number one in car insurance since World War II and number one in homeowners insurance since 1964. For a no-obligation review of your current policies, call us at 763-421-4900 or check out our website at www.champlininsurance.com.
So what's it been like to have Justin Morneau hanging around the broadcast booth?
You're really fun. It's I think we've had some very good broadcasts when Justin and I have been on.
I agree. They've been really good.
Well, thanks. I think what's great about having Justin, and by the way, I would just say, I don't know, with Justin's young family and everything, I don't know how much of this he wants to do. I will just say that if he wants to do it on a more involved basis, I think he could be as good as he wants to be, and as a TV baseball analyst, I think he's very good. He knows a lot of baseball in the right kind of ways. He's very thoughtful, and he can articulate it. I think he's excellent. I think he's going to be excellent if he wants to do that job for a living, or at least for more often than he does so far. But as far as Justin and me being in the booth together, I think I think if you have two guys that are thoughtful about the game and know a fair amount about the game, it can be additive, because while one guy is talking about something that he sees, the other guy can be thinking about, okay, is there something else? What occurs to me that can add to that, or not? If there's not a whole lot of add, then you don't say anything. If there is, or if it spawns another thought, a related topic, but not exactly the same, you can go in that direction. And my sense of it, and of course I'm not in my living room, and I haven't heard tapes. I mean, I don't know how it's coming across, but my sense is that the baseball analysis part has been pretty good with the two of us. And frankly, when there are the two of us in the booth, just because there's more analysis going on. Right. I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot of stuff being talked about that is not being talked about when just one guy's in the booth. So I think all in all, I mean, I hope people enjoy it. It seems to me from the comments that I get, seems to me that people have liked it.
I think it's great. I think it really adds something. I mean, I always have enjoyed your analysis. That's why I wanted you on my network, because I think you're the best. And I think Justin has been remarkably good for a rookie at it, because it's not an easy thing to do. It's not.
No, it really isn't. And the things that he will get, the good news for Justin, if he wants to do this, is the things that he needs to get better at. I have nothing to do with his knowledge of the game or his ability to articulate it.
Right.
And that's the most. I mean, you can't get better at that stuff. At that, you're either good at it, or you either know the game, or you don't. You either have a style that can communicate it, or you don't. I think. And for all of us, and I can continue to get better at this too. But you have short spurts of time that you can talk about something in baseball, And if you go on a long time,